Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick profile video of a deck that I wanted to try out because one of my viewers had comments saying that this deck would be nothing without Whirlwind. So I thought it would be a really good video idea to try out a Blackwing deck without Whirlwind to see how powerful the deck is, even without the Whirlwind. In my tier list video, I ranked Blackwings as being tier 1, and a lot of people, or some people, disagree with that placement, but I still think it's very much a tier 1 deck. It's highly represented for one, but it's also very powerful. And it's also one of my favorite decks that I enjoy about Edison format. So here's the deck list for you guys. If you guys want to know what I decided to play, I decided to take out the two Whirlwinds, obviously, and I replaced it with both Dark Eruption right here, both the Dark Eruption and also the Gores here. The reason why I play the Gores in this build is because without Whirlwind in the main deck, that means that my continuous spell cards are not going to be on the field. So that if Whirlwind, I'm definitely not going to have Whirlwind on the board. So I'll be able to play the Gores when they try to do a direct attack. So Gores. Great card in the Blackwing deck, and being able to just summon a big body that can just trade with a lot of different trap cards is kind of the idea of the deck. Side deck, I played the two Cyber Dragons, like most decks, three pulling the rugs. I sided the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. A lot of people main deck the Fortress Dragon, but I want to kind of go have a good game one against most decks and having an extra card. I decided to play the Arabellum in the extra deck because if I play against Dragon Turbo and they brick, I can make them brick for another turn. So that's kind of the idea behind Arabellum. But everything else is pretty standardized. Just pretty much I play the Dark Eruption. Being able to fetch the Blizzard back from the graveyard in case I want a fourth Blizzard. That's kind of the idea behind Dark Eruption. I don't have to discard a card like Monster Incarnation does. It just simply says add a Dark Monster with 1500 or less attack from your graveyard that's dark and add it back to your hand. You can even add back a Kalut too. I'm on two Vayus on this build. Even two Vayus kind of bricky. Sometimes I draw one Vayu, but sometimes I like to bluff people into thinking it's a Raikou because they don't know what I'm playing against. So I'll set the Raikou and then bluff I'll set the Vayu and then I try to bluff out the fact that it's a Raikou. People waste their mind control on it, and when they flip it, they realize that they can't synchro with it because Vayu has that weird stipulation where you can't use it for a synchro material monster unless its effects negated. So that's what I really love about Vayu is that I can bluff out Raikou, but I don't play three copies because this is pure Blackwing. So yeah, so enough talking. The challenge is how many games can I win against meta decks with pure Blackwing. So let's do a counter and let's get jump right into the video for the gameplay. All right, for our first video here, we have a Zeta Reticulant deck. So a lot of you guys have been trying out this deck on Dueling Book, and I'm playing against a guy named FX Evolution. I don't think it's the same evolution that we all know and love, but yeah, we have a matchup between the two, and let's see how the deck pans out. So FX Evolution goes first. He draws a Caius, and he has an Armageddon Knight. I don't know what his deck is on, so he normal summons an Armageddon Knight to send the Zeta Reticulant. And this is when I know that he's on that trying out that deck list. He sets a bottomless trap hole. No, he set the D Prism, sorry. He set the D Prism with the Solemn, which is pretty, yeah, it's pretty standardized, which means that he's able to, defend against the Heavy Storm. I draw for turn here. I have the Bora in my hand. Instead of normal summoning the Bora, I set it. The reason why I want to set it because I don't want to give him Zeta Reticulant tokens. I think they're called Ava tokens. I'm sorry. So the Ava token would be able to generate him a token, and he could just tribute summon for a Caius. I'd rather him sacrifice his Armageddon Knight to generate the Caius here, so I set the Bora instead. And hoping he doesn't have a Caius, so he just beats over my Bora. With the Bora in the graveyard, I can just normal summon the Blizzard and revive a level 6, but he has the Caius here to banish my Bora, putting the Bora to the banished, and then Caius will be able to trigger the Zeta Reticulant token effect, so he generates a token and he special summons it in defense mode, which I don't know if I agree with putting in defense mode because he is playing against Blackwings after all, which I can pretty much pierce him. But I guess he is not afraid because the Bora is in the banished area and not in the graveyard, so I guess it's okay. But yeah, I definitely would have put it in attack position here. So I can at least do some damage. So he sets in the back row here. So him setting that extra back row tells me that he has some sort of heavy storm defense. So I know that he's on Solemn Judgment or Starlight Road. He sets the Deep Prison here along with his other Deep Prisons. So he has two Deep Prisons here to protect against all the attacks. I summoned a Clue here just because I really want the Clue in the graveyard, and he Deep Prisons here. Perhaps maybe I should have set the Clue here so I can just at least wall up up against the Ava tokens. But I realized that he can special summon. Oh, I don't know. Hold up. So the Zeta Reticulant ability, if it's in your hand, you can special summon it by attributing an Ava token. So I guess I should have set the Collude anyways, so that you can at least put the Collude in the graveyard. So it looks like he draws into a Zeta Reticulant here. He's probably going to be able to special summon here. Pretty ballsy play to do this because I could have Oppression here, but I mean I guess he have to win the game somehow, so it makes sense that he's special summoning this. Goes in the battle phase, hits me for 24. I take the damage here, and so I'm already pretty much reading that the rest of the remaining back rows is either Starlight Rodent and Solemn, and maybe even a Karma Cut bottomless or even a deep prison set. So I try to blind space here and I hit the Solemn Judgment unfortunately, which means that the other card is definitely something that can banish my monster. I go into battle phase here to attack over the token and he automatically deep prisons here. Yeah, pretty much trying to scare him into scared of the Icarus attack on Chain Link 2 as a result, but he does deep prison anyways, and it wasn't anything to worry about. So he draws into bottomless here. Another form of removal, if I summon another bird, he puts one token in attack position and he tries to go for 2,900 light points and putting me down to 1,700 light points. So if I summon a monster here, which I try to do, he bottomlesses here. So game one's pretty solved here. I'm pretty sure I scoop after this. Yeah, he has Treeborn Frog in his deck, so that's kind of weird. Maybe he plays the Future Fusion line. I'm not entirely sure. I have to waste a compulsory here on the Zeta Reticulant, but that's pretty wasteful because he could just tribute summon his Ava token to special summon the Zeta Reticulant. Let's see what I draw here for the next turn. He sets a Treeborn Frog. I draw into Bora. Bora being able to pierce any of the tokens is nice, but unfortunately that's not going to be enough. So I special summon the Bora with Blizzard with no target. Then I'm allowed to put the two darks in my graveyard, but I don't have a third one because he's been banishing everything. So my Dark Arm's pretty much dead. And then I go after the face down here, hitting the Treeborn Frog, and then he takes 5,300 damage, but it doesn't matter because any form of removal here is good for him. He can special summon the Zeta Reticulant and then normal summon DD Warrior Lady and beat me down. So yeah, I know he has Zeta Reticulant, so I'm pretty much bluffing the Collude here. He normal summons the DD Warrior Lady and I just admit defeat here. So pretty good start for the Zeta Reticulant deck. Really good deck so far from what I've seen, but he did draw a lot of his deep prisons and a lot of things to back up the deep prison, such as Solemn Judgment. So game one, let's see what happens next. Let's see if I can reverse sweep this guy. I go first this time, so this means I'm citing in DD Crow. DD Crow is really good against Zeta Reticulants if he sets it in the graveyard somehow. I make the mistake of setting the Bora here. I think I should have put it in attack position because at least if he summons the DD Warrior Lady here, he'll have to lose some life points if he decides to banish with it. So he summons the Armageddon Knight here, and if he chooses to attack here, I make the mistake of basically letting him attack over my Bora when that should not have been the case. Then he sets two back rows. He sets a prison, two prisons. Okay, so he looks like he draws back-to-back prison here. I do have the heavy storm, so if I decide I want to get capitalized on the plus, I can just heavy storm myself. But I don't do that because I have Icarus attack. Okay, so I have a declare attack here. He prisons. I Icarus attack, destroy the rest of his field. So I get a 2-for-1 trade here, which is good. Unfortunately, the Shiro won't be able to get its effect off, but at least I'll be able to capitalize on a +1 here. So it's going to be 4 to war 4, and I did go first for this game, so I'm kind of behind. So I'm going to simplify the game by knowing his hand and knowing I put back the D Warrior Lady. So this way he has to pretty much only have one form of monster to remove. So I pretty much DD Crow. If I do summon a monster, I'll definitely summon the monster and then DD Crow the Zeta Reticulant and attack over the DD Warrior Lady. So I draw into another DD Crow here. That's pretty bad for me. So I just pass here without doing anything, hopefully to bluff the Gores. He goes straight into battle phase, doesn't care. If I do drop the Gores, he can just tribute for Kais and then banish my Gores. So that makes sense that he's attacking like this. I draw into Deck Devastation Virus. I set the Heavy Storm to try to get a Pro Storm off. He attacks me for 15 here. I don't flip the trap card. So he does walk into the Pro Storm here. All I need now is a monster that can run over DD Warrior Lady. And I make the decision to Heavy Storm here, 2-for-1, and then set the Deck Devastation Virus. So this way, I can pretty much get him to do stuff. I still pass here with 3,500 life points. It looks like he could win if he summons a monster that's bigger than, what is it, 2,000 or higher. But he doesn't attacks me directly, and I'm pretty much drawn to the Blizzard here, which is good news for me because now I'm pretty much online here. I think I go into the oh no, if I go into the Armoring, I can set the deck Devastation Virus and then flip it on his standby or draw phase. This way he can't tribute summon his DD Warrior Lady for Caius, so I make the immediate jump the gun where I look at his hand and see what he has. He has a bottomless set. I destroy his DD Warrior Lady, so now he no longer has a tribute fodder. Sets the bottomless trap hole here, and then I count the number of turns. He has 2 turns left. I draw into a Dark Arm, which is pretty good for me. And I do have 4 darks, so that's kind of unfortunate for me. So if I can get the Vayu in the graveyard, I can banish the Vayu with the monster. But at least I gotta go for the Dark Direction play to put the Blizzard back in my hand, and then I'll be able to special summon the Dark Arm because I now have 3 darks. This forces the bottomless here, and then and I chain the DD Crow here so that he doesn't get the token. And then I normal summon the Blizzard here to try and go into either the Armwing. I want to say I will go into the Goyo Guardian here. Yeah, I think I go into Goyo Guardian here or Blizzard. I'm not entirely sure what happens here. I go into yeah, so it looks like I go into the Brio here because in case he draws into a monster uh, that can run over my Brio. No, there's no reason to do this because the deck devastation virus could have. Oh, I see. I think I did this play because I was afraid of a brain control or something, but that's not a good reason. So definitely this should have been a Goyo Guardian at the very least. Yeah. Maybe I did this play because I was afraid of like him drawing into a trap card that he can just set in deep prison. So in that event I could just discard the value and then go for lethal. So that was kind of my thought process for making the Brio here. Okay, so I draw into another Blizzard, which is really good. So this way I'm able to end the game quicker. I go into Goyo Guardian, putting 50. I can go into 50. No, not enough damage. So I go into 4,600 damage here. Attack him directly for 23. The reason why I don't make a Goyo because I don't want him to break control. But maybe I should have made a Goyo Guardian so I'm going at least his life point would be below 800 life points. So yeah, I don't think I should have done that. So he sets the hamster here. Deck Devastation, 1 more turn, and then he hits I hit the hamster, and that's pretty much game. So Deck Devastation Virus is a pretty good card, so a really good card after all. Even without the Whirlwind in this deck, that trap card carries me into the game 3 here. Okay, so it looks like he's going to go first now. He decides Banishes Radiance, so it makes sense because he is playing Zeta. Activates Charge of Light Brigade, hoping to mill the Zeta Reticulant. He does not. Now he has the option of either setting the Raikou or normal summoning the Armageddon Knight. Looks like he goes for the Armageddon Knight to set up his play, where he sets his Zeta Reticulant. And then now I draw into Mind Control. So since he has no back row, I have the option of activating Allure of Darkness so that I can at least draw into Ashura here. I think that's what I do. And I do draw into Ashura, and then I think I banish either a Vayu Sirocco here. Looks like I banished the Sirocco, and now that with my Shura, I can normal summon the Shura, attack over his monster, and then get another value out of my deck. So definitely do not want to get to the Gale here because he can summon the Warrior Lady and then just banish my guy. So, but I do have the D Prison, so I don't know. Maybe I was afraid of Heavy Storm along with the Warrior Lady. So I set 1 back row, and I don't make any sort of synchro play here. So I let him do the play here. So since he summons the Banisher here, I can't Colute because Colute has to be sent to the graveyard for a cost. So I let him resolve his Banisher and banishing my value. This way he gets a token, and now he has 2 monsters on the field, but still no back row. He could use the Allure here to draw into 2 more. Looks like he values the Caius over, but with no back row, I'm pretty much going to summon another monster here to beat over the token. Summon the value here, special summon the Gale. Pretty much I attack over the token with the Gale so I can play around the Gores. No reason to play around the Gores because I do have the Icarus attack, so I definitely should have went Vayu to the token and then attack him directly with Gale to force out the Gores token. So main phase 2 here, I don't think I decide to go into Gores here, and I count the number of cards in his hand and count the number of monsters I have. So I could set another Heavy Storm, I could set another Deep Prison, and if I do that, I'll go to 3 cards, and then if he Heavy Storms, if he Heavy Storms, then I go down to, what is it, 6 cards to his 6. So I think I decided to set the Deep Prison here, even if he might Heavy Storm or not. Oh, I don't. Okay, so I give him very little to work with. So he sets the Raikou here, and now I draw into Sirocco. I contemplate whether I can pierce him for game. Yeah, I have the mind control here, so it looks like I sacrificed the Sirocco for the value here, and then pump my Sirocco, and then I activate mind control and attack him for game, putting him to the 6100 life points. Yeah, 6100 life points. So I win the game here against the Zeta Reticulant, and yeah, pretty much since he didn't draw too much of his trap cards, it was hard for him to win the game. So yeah, kudos to FX Evolution for trying out the Banisher of Radiance. Okay, on to the next game. Okay, here's another game against Vayu Turbo. Let's see how I fare against Vayu Turbo. It looks like I win the die roll here, and I decided to go first. I set the Vayu here to bluff the Raikou, so hopefully he's able to summon a monster and then beat over it, because if he does set his Raikou, then it might spell out me flipping my Raikou to pop it. So let's see what he does here. He sets a Raikou here to my potentially set Raikou. So he doesn't fear the Raikou per se. So I think he's kind of like banking on me not being a Raikou, but we'll see what happens here. Um, I activate the mind control here to steal a Raikou. Setting a Raikou with the back row is always bad because I can just flip it with the mind control. I flip the Raikou here to destroy back row, and I don't reveal what the set card is, so this way he doesn't know what it is. If it is a torrential, then I can at least have the Vayu in the graveyard here. I mill 3 cards and I reveal that I'm on Kalut. I normal summon the Shura here and try to do some damage. He bottomlesses the Shura here, and then I attack directly. I flip the Vayu here in the main phase, and then I attacked directly for 800. So hopefully, I don't think he had the gores because he did set the back rows, 2 back rows to his yeah. So there's no way he had gores. I give him back the Varco, but this way he can tribute summon for Caius here, and then banish my guy. And if he does that, I do have the Shura to beat over the Caius. So yeah, hopefully this all pans out well. And then I'm probably gonna declare an attack. Yeah, I'm probably gonna declare with attack with Shura and then, force him to deep prison on the attack declaration. This way he thinks I'm bluffing. So if he thinks I'm bluffing, then he's gonna let the attack declaration go through. And if he doesn't think I'm bluffing, he's gonna deep prison, which is good for me anyways. So it looks like he allows it to go through, and then I book a moon, which is not part of the attack declaration. I do it before the damage step, setting the Caius and then special summoning a monster. So it looks like I special summon the Vayu here because I want to send the Vayu to the graveyard with the Sirocco, and then be able to banish the Sirocco and the Vayu in a subsequent turn to make the arm wing. So it looks like he has the card trooper here. He could summon the card trooper to mill 3 and attack over, hopefully able to send the third dark in the graveyard. I think that's what he does. Let's see. Oh no, it looks like he goes for the hamster play, which is not good because I can Icarus in the end phase and destroy his 2 back rows, and then I take out his hamster, and then now I have the board now. I could special summon the Bora and normal summon the Sirocco somehow. No, there's nothing I can do. I could just normal summon the Bora and then attack him, and then pretty much do 3,500 damage, putting him on the clock. I do have the compulsory here, so if he does summon the card trooper, I could just compulse it back. Let's see what he does here. Looks like he has a Foolish Barrel, which is a really good top deck for him. So if he does mill enough dark monsters, I can pretty much, yeah, I would be pretty much screwed here. So it looks like he has 2 darks in the graveyard. Let's see what happens here. Oh, he mills the looks like he mills the 3, and he miraculously mills the second dark. So this way, I pretty much have to play around his potential dark arm. So this way, if he does the dark arm play and activates priority to banish to pop something, and I chain compulsory to the dark arm, he won't be able to play it. But unfortunately for me, he has the foolish burial to put the third dark, so he can special summon the dark arm again. So pretty unlucky for me that he drew that specific spell card to get him back in the game, because if he didn't have it, then maybe I could have won still. Let me see. So he makes the arm wing here, and I try to bluff the Kalut here because, yeah, there's no reason to bluff the Kalut here. I don't know why he didn't activate. No, I see why. So I could have colluded him here, but I just didn't have it. So yeah, lose game 1. Let's see if I can do another reverse sweep. Seems like the side deck is carrying me throughout the entirety of this challenge here. I draw into Deck Devastation Virus, so I do have the option of summoning the Vayu here with the Kalut, and if he does attack my Vayu with the Kalut, I can make the Vayu go to 2,200 life points, or 2,200 attack, and I can flip the Deck Devastation Virus to clear out the rest of his cards. But instead I set the Vayu, which is really bad. So I set the Vayu here. I don't know why I did decide to do this play, because he knows that I'm on Blackwing, so there's no need to do this. So he sets the Raikou here, which is pretty good for me. So it just tells me he doesn't have a monster he can summon. I could flip the Vayu into attack with the Raikou, but then that would mean that I can walk into a deep prison. So I decide to set 2 to match him. I dust shoot and I hit his Armageddon Knight. And then I hitting the Armageddon Knight means that he won't be able to send a Sirocco. to the graveyard or whatever he needs basically. So if he flips the Raikou here, he can just and he sends one of the materials for Vayu Turbo. He can just summon the Armageddon Knight and just send the rest. Even though I do have the DD Crow, which is really nice. Looks like he flips the Raikou here to target my Icarus attack. I chain the Icarus attack to target his back row. So this way I'm able to destroy his back row and then just summon a monster that can beat over these monsters. So if I do have the Shura here, I can be able to capitalize on that. Okay, I take 800 and 200, and he sets deck Devi. I draw for turn, and I draw into Blizzard, which is really nice for me. I can normal summon the Kalut here, and if Kalut ever goes to the graveyard, I can bring back Catastor, and Catastor is a monster with 2200 attack, and it's also a dark monster that can contribute for deck Devastation Virus. Okay, he draws into a Trench Hole here, he sets it. I draw into Vayu, which is really unfortunate for me. This is why I don't like too many Vayus in my deck. Otherwise, I keep drawing back to back to back. I go into battle phase and attack with Kalut. And I think I do have an Icarus attack set. I do not have it set. So I attack over the Vayu here. And so if he finds a way to put the Sirocco in the graveyard, that might spell out trouble for me. But I do have a deck Deep Prison to deal with the Sirocco. Okay, looks like he does draw into the Foolish Burial, so he has the option of heavy storming himself, and then so he has a clear row. But I do have a DD Crow, so that's not good. I would never do that. Activates this, and then I think I chain DD Crow to the attack because I don't want him to chain his deck Devastation Virus. So I DD Crow right away, so he doesn't even attempt to activate. And then he passes here. Now I draw into my Sirocco. I tribute summon for Sirocco here. He activates the Torrential Tribute. I activate Deck Devastation Virus and see what he has. And since it's on my turn that I'm activating this, that means he gets basically get to see his hand for 3 turns. And then I activate Vayu here to go into Armwing and then attack directly for 23. Alright, not bad so far. If he top decks into a Sirocco, he can beat over my Armwing, but I do have a Deep Prison to deal with that. He draws into a Dust Sheet here, which is unfortunate for me. Unfortunate for him, sorry. He reveals that he's on it, and he sets his this is Dust Sheet anyways. I draw for turn here. I'm not afraid. I normal summon the Blizzard, and I'm pretty much win the game here with the Boar. All right, game 2 goes in my favor, and let's see what happens here. I think I side out the. I think I keep the Dust Shoot in because Vayu Turbo does keep a large hand relatively, so I keep it in. He sets his value here, and he sets a MST. Pretty good for him. Looks like I have the mind control here. So in the event that it is a Raikou, I decide to mind control, and it is not. So unfortunately for me, I wouldn't be able to synchro with him. I special summon the Bora here to try to bait out the oppression here. He does not have oppression, so I swing for 1700. And then I set the Icarus attack, and then I end phase. He MSTs in the end phase. So now I'm defenseless because I don't have a Clute. But lucky for me, he does not have anything either. He can tribute summon the Vayu for Sirocco, and then pump the Sirocco to beat over the Bora. He does not do that. Instead, he's afraid of me colluding, but there's no reason to fear the Clute because the Sirocco goes up to 3700 attack, and my Clute would only bring my Bora up. So I think he just wants to go straight into the Deck Devastation Virus play, so I think he flips it. No, he doesn't. Looks like a normal summon the Blizzard here to revive something. I don't. He lets me synchro summon. So I go into Bryanak here. I don't know why he didn't flip the. Huh. I don't know why he didn't flip it. Maybe he didn't. He was afraid that I didn't have the. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. If I if he flips the Deck Devastation Virus, he is defenseless, and so he doesn't have anything in his hand to deal with the monsters. So I'll go Prio here to bounce back a Sirocco, I believe. No, I think I bounce back the back row. No, I bounce back the Sirocco here because it would put Sirocco in the graveyard. So I don't want him to put Sirocco in the graveyard, so I let him activate Deck Devastation Virus. He doesn't have it. I do have the Dark Arm. I do have the play. I do have the ability to special summon the Dark Arm to put 5100 damage on him, and I think I decided to do that. Nope. Looks like I go for 2300 because I don't have lethal with him yet, so I pass. He draws into a Deep Prison here, and he also has Dark Arm, I believe. No, Dark Arm's not live for him. Goes into the... Oh yeah, he has the Armwing. So he goes into the Armwing here, he crashes into my Brio, so it puts less damage for me. But with Dark Arm and Shura, I can deal with his board. So he special summons the Dark Arm here, and then he banishes for... Yeah, he pretty much banishes for Armwing here, and he sets everything. So I reveal that I have Icarus attack. So here I have to play around the oppression here. I do have the option of setting the Shuro with setting the Icarus attack, but that doesn't feel good to me because he would still have these two monsters on board. And putting the Shuro to the graveyard is not good because then I would have four darks. So I immediately go straight into Dark Arm here. And then I use the effect to banish for costs as Prio to pop the Dark Arm in case he has a bottomless. And he does not have a bottomless or anything that responds to the summon. So I go into, I use this effect again to pop the face down monster. Use this effect again to pop the back row. Yeah. So I had the option of destroying this, but then I would lose my monster to deep prison. So I decided to go for this line where I summon the Shura and then pretty much put him on top deck mode. Attack directly for 1800 and set the Icarus attack. So the only thing I'm worried about is brain control, because he can steal my Dark Arm and pop everything. It's a brain control, unfortunately for me. Activates the brain control, takes my Dark Arm, pops everything, pops itself too. Yeah, pops my back row. I can't chain the Icarus attack because there's not two targets on the field that I can target, and he beats over my Shura, which is weird. Which he could have. Oh no, I think he wanted to keep his Sirocco, so it made sense that he keeps this way. So he pops the Dark Arm here. Well, now we're both on top deck mode. I reveal that I'm on brain control, and then I pass. So it looks like we both draw brain control for our top deck, but there's nothing I can steal. So he knows that I have brain control, and if he summons a monster, I can just brain control it. So we're on this top deck mode. I draw into Clute here. I pass. I don't want to summon a Clute and attack into a Raikou or a Hamster, so I just pass here. I set the Deep Prison here. Um, he could tribute for Caius here, but again, if he does that, I can just brain control and beat him. So he's definitely on like some sort of like be prepared. So he draws into a Grepher here. If he had kept this Grepher, he would have been able to put lethal on board, I believe, because he does have his Armor Master. So yeah. So I don't know why he didn't summon the Grepher. He could have pitched the Caius here to dump the Vayu and then banish to go into something. I guess he was afraid of Torrential, so it makes sense that he's doing all these weird plays. So I draw to a Shura here, which is good for me because now I can just beat over stuff. And then I attack over his Gale, and then I can use the effect to special summon. I think I go into my own Gale, and then I beat over his Vayu. Yep, yep. So now I have the option of Synchro Summoning, but if I Synchro Summon, then I lose the Caius. Or maybe I don't lose the Caius. Looks like I go into the Armor Master here, and then I pass, and so now he's back to him. He flips the Grepher here, he pitches the Sirocco, and then this way he could go for Armor Master. Sacrifices the Grepher to target the Armor Master, so he needs to have game here. So I take the 1000 here, and then what's 6000 damage? Does he have 6000 worth of damage? He does have double value here, so he could game me. Unfortunately for him, I do have the Deep Prison to deal with the monster. So he makes the arm wing here. I decide to let the arm wing go through, and then I deprison the Caius. This way I can just brain control. I don't have the brain control. I can just summon the Sirocco and pump for game. So I just reveal the Sirocco and I win the game here. Okay, so yeah, that was a game against Vayu Turbo. Sirocco is MVP in the matchup, so definitely keep the Sirocco in if you decide to play against Vayu Turbo. If they can't finish you somehow, you can just use the Sirocco and pump and go for game. All right, that was my game against the Blackwing deck. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one, or against Vayu Turbo. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Again, I guess you don't need Whirlwind after all. So yeah. Hi guys, it's gonna be another matchup against the Diva Hero deck. So basically, yeah, we all know how Diva Hero works. So yeah, pretty much we're gonna start the game here. I activate the Allure of Darkness here, and I draw two, and I banish my Bora. I normally summon the Shura because in case he summons a monster that can beat over my Shura, I can just collude him in the damage step. And then I pass. Setting the deep prison only, I don't want to set any more bluffs. Unfortunately for me, he goes straight into the Infernal Prodigy and then banishes my Shura. So a lot of banishing decks a lot. So he doesn't attack here. Leaves the Caius out there for me to attack over. Looks like he chooses for the Gale here. I guess he's afraid that I might normal summon the yeah, so he chooses Gale here. Gale can run over the Caius, so it makes sense that he would choose it. So, I passed the turn without summoning anybody. I could bring control, but there's no reason to do that because there's no reason to attack for 24 and just pass. So, main phase 1, he starts his turn off. He activates the set immediate emergency call here to search for the Stratos. Okay. He summons the Stratos here, or he does not summon the Stratos. He goes straight into the battle phase, attacks with the Kais here. Main phase 2, he summons the Stratos here to search for the. I think he searches for Ocean. No, he searched for Alias. So it looks like he's on the Frog Monarch deck or the Frog Hero deck that Fraser Smith plays. It's even down to the E emergency cooldown. So I draw into D Prison I set here, so he draws return. He could tribute for Caius, or he can normal summon an Alias. He has a lot of different plays here. Then he goes straight into battle phase and attacks me for 18 here. I activated Deep Prison here. I don't think Deep Prison here was correct because he does have the Infernal Prodigy in his graveyard. So having the Infernal Prodigy in his graveyard means that he could just activate Miracle Fusion if he has a Water Monster anyways. So there's no need of Deep Prison here. So yeah, definitely incorrect to do that. Definitely should have kept the Deep Prison for the Absolute Zero that might potentially come down. I draw into a Bottomless here, so I can set it in case he wants to sacrifice that monster for Caius. He passes turn here. Normal summons the Alias here, and I Bottomless right away. Again, not playing around the Miracle Fusion, but he does not have his Water Monster, so I'm guessing that this monster was a monster he didn't want to flip. I was reading that this card was a Snowman Eater because Snowman Eater is one of those cards that you don't flip very often unless there's a monster on my side of the board. So I do pass the opportunity to activate the mind control because if I flip the Snowman Eater has to destroy a monster on the field. So I decide not to do the mind control play because I could have easily done so and then just summon the Blizzard and Synchro Summon with it. So I just pass turn without doing anything here. He draws into another Battle Fader here, and so I pretty much don't commit anything until he does something. I draw into another Blizzard, and I think I just draw pass. So we go into this draw pass mode. He draws into the reinforcements of the army, which way he can just summon the Junk Synchron and revive something. He does have the Infernal Prodigy, so he could put the Treeborn with the Junk Synchron in play to go into a level 6. We'll see what he does here. I think he goes into a Catastor or he goes into a level 5. No, he just he just searches and passes. I set the Oppression here, so this way if he does find a way to special summon, I can just put the Oppression and then clear him out. Summons Junk Singer on here. I flip the Oppression to kill it. But unfortunately for me, I do have double Blizzards, so that's going to be a problem for me. I do draw the MST. Maybe I should have kept the MST in my hand and just summon the Blizzard and attack, but I don't want to give him another monster to kill. He draws into MST, he sets it and he passes. I draw into Compulsory. I set the Colute and I should have set the Compulsory. In this event that he does tribute the face down monster for Kais, I could just Compulsory the monster that he targeted. So it looks like he goes straight into the Kais here, and I burn for 1,000. He can attack me for 24. But at least I'm able to put Mind Control, steal the Kais, summon the Blizzard, Synchro Summon into a Black Rose, or Synchro Summon to a Dark Monster to put the third Dark in the graveyard. I go into battle phase here to attack him for 13 first, hoping to bait out something. He doesn't have Gores. I think I didn't care about Gores just because I was already losing. So I go into Thought Ruler. He activates the Oppression to kill my Thought Ruler, putting me to 2 Darks. So I need one more Dark Monster, and then a way to deal with the Oppression here. So I set a Compulsory and I pass. He activates Treeborn Frog. Looks like he draws into the ocean here. He could summon the the Swap Frog and just beat me down, or he can summon the ocean and beat me down as well. So there's several ways he can do so. Normal summons the Swap Frog here. He dumps the Substitute, I believe. No, another Treeborn. So yeah. This play I don't like because he revived the Treeborn Frog. I could have just normal summoned the Shura and beat over it and then get another monster. So definitely don't need to special summon the Treeborn if he had no intention of playing it. Does the Swap Frog effect where he bounces the Treeborn and normal summons it again? So I guess he's on some sort of back row where he can just deal with it. I draw into a Shura here. I attack over the Swap Frog just in time. It's always so ironic when they decide to do the play that plays into Shura and then I draw into it for the hard punish. Gets the value here, and I can attack over the Treeborn Frog. So now this way he has to deal with, he has to have some sort of removal. I don't know why he set the Miracle Fusion, because if he, yes, because he needs the Tribute Fodder for his Kais. But I pretty much read that he doesn't have Kais, because he could have just Kais last turn, so it doesn't do anything. Normal summons the Ocean here, and he beats over my Vayu. I don't have the Colute, unfortunately, so he plays it to the Colute here. I do have the Compulsory. I could compulse the Ocean here so that I could pretty much put a lot of damage on board. So I decided to compulse here. Maybe I should have let the Vayu die because now He could just sacrifice the enemy controller if I target it, and that's what he does. He tributes the ocean here to take my Shura, and then he beats on my Vayu. I take 1,000, so it puts me under oppression. So this way he can activate the Miracle Fusion, and then I'm pretty much screwed here because now I have to deal with an absolute zero. I need to top deck into a Clute to deal with the absolute zero, which is not good enough. He passes here. I draw for turn, hopefully to draw into a Clute. I don't draw into a Clute. I do draw into an Icarus though, but I would have to pop my own card, which I decide to do. I set the Icarus attack here, and if he does declare an attack, I can just tribute the Shura to pop the oppression and the absolute zero. Goes into the Treeborn Frog, so unfortunately for me, he does have the Kais to burn me if I do decide to do the Icarus attack play. I activate the Icarus attack here to pop yeah, pretty much pop the Absolute Zero and my own oppression. And then he just tributes for Kai's for game. So yeah, so I lose 1,000 here, and then we go to game 2. Looks like I've been losing all my game 1, so let's see if I can reverse sweep him. Okay, looks like I draw into a pretty mediocre hand. I go first. I do have the oppression set, so I do have the option of setting all 4, and I think I decided to do that. So I summon the Clute here, or I set the Clute and I set 4. This way, he can pretty much fear that I have like some sort of like pulling the rug, since I don't activate the dust shoot here. He sets a back row and he passes here. I flip I tribute summon for Sirocco and I attack directly. He activates the Mirror Force here. Maybe I shouldn't have sacrificed for Sirocco, but I definitely wanted Sirocco out there to do the most damage because I could just Icarus attack. But yeah, maybe I should have just flipped the Kalut and just pressed for 1400. He draws for turn, he passes here, so it looks like he's drawing a pretty spell heavy hand. I summon the Blizzard here to special summon the Kalut, and I think I go straight into battle phase here. In the event that he does have a Gores, I could just Icarus attack and kill the token in the Gores. But he doesn't have it. He draws return here. He does have the Regeki break. He can set it. He summons the Junk Synchron to beat over my Kalut. I unfortunately do not set the D present because I don't want to clog myself. So next turn I do decide to set the D present anyways. Draw into it, pulling the rug, and I pass here. And then he goes into battle phase to crash, so he can get a 2 for 1. He always gets a 2 for 1 no matter what. I D present. He sets a Regeki break and he passes. Looks like he does have the Gores here, so if I do decide to attack him directly and he chains Regeki break, destroying one of my back rows, if he does that, he can just hopefully hit the Icarus attack, but he does not do so, so I just set a pulling the rug here. So if he summons the Kais here, I can deal with it. He normal summons the Swap Frog. Sorry, I guess I didn't set the pulling. I set the D prison. Okay, so if I had pulling the rug, I would have been able to deal with Swap Frog and not help him put a frog in the graveyard. But that's fine. I can deal with it. He bounces back, and then he passes turn here. No, I think what he does is he Raigeki breaks so that he doesn't have to discard. So he kills my Blizzard here. He puts me to 3 darks. So if I draw a Dark Arm, it's pretty good for me. I draw into a Shura here. I don't summon a monster until he special summons his Treeborn. And so I let him do that. And then if he does that, I can just beat it over with Shura. He normal summons a Swap Frog here. I mean, he has to do something. And then he dumps the Swap Frog and he attacks. I D-prison. So at least I put the monster out of the graveyard. And then summon the Shura here. Beat over the Treeborn Frog. Special summon the Vayu, I believe. Yeah, if I special summon a Vayu, I can put Vayu in the graveyard if it ever goes to the graveyard. Attack him directly. He's still not activating Gores, which is pretty funny to me, but he doesn't do it anyways. I set the pulling the rug. He draws into Kais. He special summons the Treeborn here. He can sack for Kais, and the Kais will just be able to banish this monster. Activates enemy controller, so this way he can just beat over my Vayu in the battle phase. He does that. I was like thinking maybe he had like Blackwing in his deck. He does not. And he tributes for Kais. I pull in the rug. So he was able to eliminate 3 of my cards for 2 of his. So that's pretty good on him. So he gets a 2 for 3. I draw into Blizzard. I summon the Blizzard here. No, I activate the arm wing first with the Sirocco. I summon the bird, and then I make a level 6 synchro. This way I can deal with lethal to him. And then if he has the battle fader, I can just oppression. But for some reason, I think he scoops after I oppression his battle fader. When he could have just dropped the Gores after the attack, and then I could just beat over there and steal his Gores, but he'll be able to survive, which is better than losing. So he just scoops. So game 3 starts, and let's see if I can reverse sweep this guy. He draws for turn, sets the Snowmanator, or summons the Swamp Frog. One of those two. Sets Snowmanator. Okay. So it looks like I pretty much read not to attack into a set monster because it could be a Dupe Frog or a Snowmanator. I just set the bottomless here, so in case that he does summon a monster bigger than 1500, I can just bottomless it. So I pass here without doing anything until he summons a monster. I set another bottomless here and seeing if I can bait his Heavy Storm. He does Heavy Storm, and then he just summons a Swamp Frog to dump. I do have the D-Crow to deal with it, so he attacks for 1000, and he can just bounce back. So he can just keep looping this play until I find a monster that can beat over his 2000 defense monster. I set a D prison. I set everything pretty much because he's already used his Heavy Storm. Okay, so he special summons the Treeborn here. So he could make a Caius here to do some damage. He summons the Alias instead. So I do have the D prison, I believe. Yeah. So I D prison his Alias. So this way he puts a hero monster out of his graveyard, so he can't Miracle Fusion well. I do have the Shura now, so I can beat over his Treeborn Frog. I still don't know why he decides to do this, but I guess he just doesn't realize. I go into Vayu in defense mode, and then this way I can just pass with a free Icarus target. He flips a Snowmanor to pop my Shura, which is fine for me. And if he sacrifices for Caius here, I'll have to Solemn Judgment, which I do. This way I can get the... I do this because I want his Shadow Mark to be in the graveyard, so he can't just special summon the Swamp Frog and bounce it back. So now I have Vayu in the graveyard. I have the Vayu on the field. I had the option of normal summoning the Blizzard here, which I do decide to do. And I think I go into Arm Wing since Vayu is still negated here. So here I can go into Battle Phase with a 2, or I can get Synchro Summon to level 7. I think I go into Battle Phase first and see what he does. And he takes the damage. Okay, cool. So main phase 2, I could Synchro Summon into level 7. I decide not to do that because I want to spread out my forces. He activates the he draws into Soul Exchange, which is really good for him because now he has a tribute fodder for something. In case he's unable to bring out the Tribute Frog. He activates Soul Exchange, what a sec. And then he summons the Subzitoad, tributes my Gaius Prio. This way, I can't Icarus attack respond. He gets his Treeborn Frog, he does it again. So I do this really cool play where he can't run over my Vayu with any of his frogs, and so he's committed to the frog play. So he ends on double dupe, I believe. Yeah, he ends on double dupe. So my Icarus attack can deal with one of the dupe frogs, and I think I pump up one of the guys up. Yeah, so he ends up double dupe. I draw into Dark Arm, which is so lucky for me because I could put the Vayu in the graveyard, go to 5 Darks, banish the Vayu in the Arm Wing to put 3 Darks, especially on the Dark Arm. And then the Dark Arm can clear one of the dupe frogs and then pump up my guy to 4,500 life points. 4,500 attack. This plays around the Battle Fader, so if you have the option of do so, you should. I activate the Vayu here, make the Arm Master, special on the Dark Arm, pop the dupe frog by banishing my DD Crow. And then he searches for another Swamp Frog. No, he just adds it from his graveyard. I pump. Yeah, I think he's afraid that I might have Repression, but I don't have Repression. I pump up here and I attack him for 44. He scoops, but I remind him, being the good guy that I am, I say, you're not dead yet. You're only at 500. So I put him below brain control, and so we continue the game, even past the expiration date. He searches for the Unifrog here, so this way he can pop my card. Um, so here I get distracted by a phone call. So I thought he normal summoned, so I do this minus play. So what he does is he normal summons a Swamp Frog. Or he special summons a Swamp Frog. He bounces the Treeborn to normal summon the Unifrog, and then he goes straight to the damage here. Being distracted by my phone call, I Icarus attack, thinking that he already uses normal summon. So I Icarus attack, pop the Swamp Frog, and pop my Armor Master. And then he just normal summons the Junk Synchron here, and then he's able to synchro away his guy and beat over my Dark Arm. No, I think he goes into a Black Rose here. So he makes a Black Rose here, and then he tries to blow up the field. He could make a Brio to bounce back my Dark Arm, but then that puts my Dark Arm back in my hand. And if I can find a way to put third Dark in the graveyard, which I do not have, I only have 4 Darks. So if I find a way to take out the Dark out of the graveyard, then I can spell some of the Dark Arm. So he commits to this play where he makes a Black Rose Dragon. Bounces my Substitute here, synchros for 7, blows up the field, and he passes here. I draw into Gale. So I normal summon the Vayu and special summon the Gale here. And the reason why I do this is because I want to spread out my forces. So in the event that he has the Caius, he won't be able to do 3,400 damage to me. So that's what I do. He draws into the Mirror Force here, special summons the Treeborn, and then he sets the Snowmander. So I draw into the Bora here, which is really good for me. If he doesn't have anything that can respond to the Bora, but he does have something to respond to the Bora, I pretty much win the game here. So I special summon the Bora here, and I attack with the Battle Fader. He Mirror Forces here. I don't know, maybe I should have Synchroed or not. Uh, yeah, because my Vayu goes to the graveyard anyway, so yeah. So I go into this player here because even though he might have a Caius and banish my guy, I still don't want to lose to him drawing to something that he can summon to beat over my life points. So I look at his graveyard here, and he doesn't have a hero monster, but he can technically draw into a hero monster and activate Miracle Fusion, and then he can beat me down. So I decided I'm pretty much priced in doing this play, even though it's bad to the Caius. At least this plays around. I play around the Miracle Fusion because the Miracle Fusion would give him a water monster and himself, and that's already 3,100 damage if he puts the Treeborn Frog to the attack mode. So I don't want him to beat me down with like a Swap Frog on top of that. So I decided to do this play, and lucky for me, he does not have a Miracle Fusion or a hero, so I make that read. Draw into pulling the rug here, go into battle phase, attack over the battle fader, and then the pulling rug can deal with the Caius now. So now all I have to worry about is Miracle Fusion. He activates Regeki Break, discards the 1/1 to pop my pulling the rug. So now I'm back to being afraid of Caius. He draws into a Stratos here, so he does have the hero monster. So since oh no, he sets the Stratos here. So I draw into a Deep Prison. I go into battle phase, attack over his new monster. I'm pretty much making the read that this is a dupe frog, so I can just ignore it so he doesn't thin out his deck. So I attack over his new card. He draws into another Regeki Break, sets it, and then I draw into Fossil Dino, which is really good for me. Now if I clear out both of his monster, I can just deal with it. I attack with Fossil Dino first, in the event that it's a Snowmander. I don't want him to kill my Fossil Dino. And then I attack with Silverwind. He pops with my Silverwind. So I'm like, okay, cool. I guess he can't special summon. End phase, he activates Regeki Break, and he pops my set. And I was like, why? Because now he has to simplify. He has to draw into something that contribute fodder for the Caius. And he's like, oh shoot, I misplayed. He draws into Dust Shoot. But if, let's say he does activate Regeki Break and destroys my Pachycephalo, I'll still have my Deep Prison. He can special summon the Treeborn, and then he'll have that as a wall. And then if he does that, I have to draw into a monster that can beat over the Treeborn and do direct damage. So he could have definitely played this one out. I don't have a Vayu in the graveyard, so I can't make anything. So he definitely should have Regeki Break my Fossil Dyna to buy more time. So I was like looking pretty hard for my Blizzard because I haven't summoned a Blizzard yet. So I looked through all my deck and I see like no Blizzard for like several turns, not even a Bora either. I draw Bora on what turn? What turn is this? 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. So on turn 14, I would have been able to draw my Bora to pierce him, and my Blizzard is on what is it? 16, 18, 20, 21. So very unlucky. I'm on 21 cards, and so basically the bottom four cards were my Blizzard. That could have helped me pretty much win the game. So, but fortunately for me, he does misplay, and then he was able to Regeki Break the wrong target. So yeah, that's the gameplay against Diva Hero. This wasn't Diva Heroes after all. This was Frog Monarchs. This was Hero Frogs. So yeah, I think looks like he main decks the Snowmander. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Pretty much, I guess you just don't need Black Whirlwind after all. Because Black Whirlwind is just not one of those cards that is needed in Blackwings. Who knows? Maybe Blackwing is just carried by Deck Devastation Virus in the side deck. But yeah, we'll go on to the last one. We're going to play one more game. All right, the last match of the day, I decided to play against a mirror match, which is really cool. And granted, this mirror match, he goes first. He opens up Whirlwind, and I don't play Whirlwind on my deck. So let's see how the deck fares against the mirror match without my Whirlwind. Does my deck that plays Blackwing without Whirlwind beat a deck with Whirlwind that opens up Whirlwind? Let's find out. So he activates the Whirlwind here, summons the Bora here, searches for the Clute, and then he passes without setting any back row, which I disagree with because he got the +1 here, and there was no reason to not setting the bottomless here was a mistake for him, because now I can just summon the Shura and just beat over the Bora. So he activates Kalute hoping to save it. I do have my own Kalute, so I was able to special summon the Gale here. Putting the Gale on the board here will allow me to go into the Armor Master. Armor Master is really good against the Mirror Match because it forces him to go into Brionac, and if he has to discard a card after Brionac, then that's good for me. Go into straight into a level 7 Synchro, and so I can special summon the Dark Arm to pop pretty much pop the Whirlwind here. Okay, cool. So then I set the Dust Shoot and I set the Compulsory. So I drew pretty good, I would say, even with his Whirlwind start. He has the MST here, so he has the option of MST. I activate the Dust Shoot in the draw phase. He chains the MST to pop my Compulsory. I think I did contemplate whether I wanted to activate Compulsory to the Dark Arm, and I think I want to play around the Brain Control, so I do decide to do that. So I Compulsory my own Dark Arm back to my hand. This way he can't control it. He has the Alert Darkness in hand after I pretty much trap Dust Shoot him. So he sets the Oppression and sets the Bottomless, activates the Allure hoping to draw into a Dark Monster, and he draws into 2 spells and traps, so he negs 1 on the Alert Darkness. So even though he was able to get a +1 on the Blizzard, or a +1 on the Black Whirlwind, he negs 1 back to being neutral. I draw 4 cards here. I can summon the Blizzard here to put a 3rd Dark in my graveyard. I decide not to do that because he does have Oppression. So what I do is I try to get him lower so that if he does activate the Oppression here, then he won't have enough life points to do so. So I'm trying to make his Oppression work for me. Fortunately for him, fortunately for me, I failed to disregard that he can normal summon his own Blizzard and then make a synchro play. But I'm not too worried because neither Brionac can deal with the situation because he does not have a card in hand to discard to bounce back my Arm Master. So if he makes a Goyo here, Goyo can't do anything because Arm Master can't be destroyed by battle. He makes the mistake of attacking. I decide to use Deep Prison here because I want him to, I basically want him to have the monster off the board here so I can just pretty much get his life point lower so I can use Oppression. I normal summon the Boro here to force his Bottomless. And then I go attack directly for 25, hopefully to get him down to 800 less. So he's at 1600, so if I can do 1 more damage with Armor Master, I can pretty much win the game here. Draws into a Solemn Judgment, and he just admits defeat. Okay, cool. So it looks like I win the first game against Blackwings, which is good. I think I side DD Crow here. I keep my Dust Sheet in because he is on Whirlwind, and because I know that he's on Whirlwind, he's always going to have 4 cards in his hand, at least 4 cards in his hand. So he draws first here. He sets his Dust Shoot, so he sets another back row. He does he have Dust Shoot actually? No, he doesn't have Dust Shoot. He has Legacy of Yadro. So I summon the Shura here to try to press damage in the event that, um, in the event that he summons a bird, I can just book a moon it, and then I can just beat it over. So I set 4 here, which is pretty bad for me because if he does decide to heavy storm himself, it's really bad for me. So I Dust Shoot. I choose a Shura over the Sirocco because I was afraid that he would heavy storm himself and then chain his book on my Shura and then beat over my Shura with his Shura and get a +1. So I decided to go for that play instead. So heavy storms himself. He chains Legacy of Yatagarasu, so he pretty much gets a good play here. Yeah. Summons Sirocco here. Pumps up his Sirocco, beats over my Shura. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I need something to beat over the Shura. I need something to beat over the Sirocco. I can draw into a Sirocco, or I can draw into a Shura because I have a Book of Moon. I draw into the Shura here. So I have a lot of good top decks. It could have been a Blizzard too. So there was a lot of different top decks I could have drawn into. That's why I summoned the Shura on turn 1. So this way I can have my Blizzard be live. I summon the Shura, attack, and then use Book of Moon. I try to go straight into the Armor Master because then he would have to force make into a... he doesn't have a level 4 monster in the graveyard, so he can't make a Brionac. So that's why I make the Armor Master here. So I make into the... So this way, if he does Brain Control me, he does have to draw into the Sirocco to distribute over it. Fortunately for him, he has a way to end the game. So he Brain Controls, takes my monster, special summons 2 Boro here, and then he attacks me for game. So he luck sacked me on this one, which is fine because it does happen in this game. I go to 0 life points with the Clute. If he didn't have the Clute, I would have 100 life points, and then he would have to deal with my Armor Master in attack position. So now it's game 3, so now I'm going first. I decided the deck Devastation Virus because it can hit a lot of different cards. It can hit DD Crow, it can hit Black Whirlwind, I can hit a Blizzard, it can hit Kalute, and it can hit Gale. So those are 4 targets that you can hit with deck Devastation Virus. For this play, I decide not to summon any monster because I don't want him to beat over any of my monsters, and I also don't have Kalute. So what I do is I just set the Dust Tornado on pass. In the event that he does have the Black Whirlwind, and he summons a monster, I could just hit the Black Whirlwind on the summon so he doesn't get a search. I end phase Dust Tornado, and I set the deck Devastation Virus. And this way that if he does have a way to if I have a way to put the Sirocco on the field, I can just chain deck Devastation Virus. I set the dust shoot here because this way I can know what his hand looks like. So pretty much he draws to the Black Whirlwind here. I activate the dust shoot, take out his Shura. So now that with my deck devastation virus online, if he does search for a monster with Kalute, I can just pretty much hit his whole hand. He does have the Icarus attack, so he can prevent me from attacking over his Kalute. So he searches for the Blizzard here, and he attacks me 14. So I feel pretty much safe here. The Icarus attack would have to minus himself if he wants to proactively do it, just to play around some weird hindsight deck devastation virus. But he doesn't do it. I go straight into main phase, summon the Sirocco here. He has to activate the Icarus attack right away, and then I just chain my deck devastation virus. So this is a pretty good deck devastation virus for me. He does put his Vayu in the graveyard, but he does have a Sirocco, and I do have a DD Crow to back that up. Okay, so I put since I was able to activate the deck devastation virus on my own turn, this allows me to pretty much check his hand for 3 turns, which is really broken. It's always nice to activate deck devastation virus on my own turn. So yeah, I checked his hand, dropped to heavy storm, so I can play around that. He passes turn here. I draw into bottomless. I summon the Shura here to start doing damage to him because I need to put him on low enough life points to pretty much win the game. I pass here without setting the bottomless because I do have the Mystical Space Typhoon to deal with it. And I'm not too worried about Blizzard because I do have the deck devastation virus. Okay, he passes here. So then I summon the Gale here and then try to put him on pretty much do 3,100 damage here. And I don't synchro summon because this is pretty much lethal if he doesn't have a monster. But I forgot that he has brain control, so he could just steal my Shura, but that's not a problem because if he beats over my Gale with the brain control and special summons a Vayu or Armor Master, I can steal the monster with brain control and win the game. Knowing that he's on Dust Tornado, he doesn't have a way to block the attack. So he draws into a Dust Tornado, and then that's the last turn. Activates the brain control here, takes my Shura. I let this all resolve. My back rows are MST and bottomless, so I do have the option of bottomlessing the Arm Master, but again, I don't have any reason to worry because I could just brain control and kill him. Okay. If he had made Vayu, let's see here. If he had made Vayu, it wouldn't matter. Maybe he only plays one Vayu. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I think it's always correct to make the Android here because it plays around the brain control. The Android would have brought him back up to 2,900 life points, but if he did make Android, I think I would have been forced to bottomless there, so that I want to put him on lethal the entire time. So yeah, so I MST his back row, and then I pretty much take the brain, yeah, and I draw Tabora, which would have not helped me win the game if he did go the Android play. So yeah, the brain control wins me the game here, and I attack him for directive for 25. Yep. So yeah, that was my matchup. So I was able to win 4 matchups with the Blackwing deck. So just to prove the other guy wrong on my chat, that even without Whirlwind, the deck is very very broken. And so this is proving it. And I think the main reason is because deck devastation virus is a card that Blackwing can utilize to pretty much win the game. And I definitely agree with that. So yeah, Blackwing without Whirlwind, guys. Definitely decide playing it. It even beats the mirror match because Whirlwind is really bad if they don't have a Blackwing. And it's also bad because the way they have to play is if they draw into the Whirlwind without the Blackwing, they have to pretty much wait until they draw a Blackwing. Where this card could have been a card that they could have set as a back row to deal with back row. But I'm not saying Whirlwind is bad. There are definitely pros and cons. to having a Black Whirlwind in your deck, and that is being able to recover really well. So it's basically opportunity cost versus non-opportunity cost scenarios. It just depends on the situation. A lot of situation, Whirlwind is better. In some situations, Whirlwind is not so good. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile or the deck video of how Blackwings can perform without the Whirlwind. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.